The Magnificent Seven is a 1960s Western film directed by John Sturges, featuring a star-studded cast that includes Yul Brynner, Eli Wallach, Steve McQueen, Charles Bronson, Robert Vaughn, Brad Dexter, James Coburn, and Horst Buchholz. This film has become one of the most frequently aired Westerns on television. If you missed it on the big screen back in the 60s, you likely caught it on the small screen. Many might not realize that The Magnificent Seven is actually a remake of a non-Western film. The original is the 1954 Japanese movie Seven Samurai, a critically acclaimed film set in 1586 during Japan's Warring States period. It tells the story of a village of farmers who hire 7 samurai to defend them from bandits planning to steal their harvest. Hollywood transposed this narrative to the Old West, replacing the samurai with gunslingers and the bandits with Mexican outlaws, thus creating The Magnificent Seven. The core plot, however, remained largely unchanged. Today, the 1960 movie is regarded as a Western classic. However, upon its initial release, it was panned by critics and performed poorly at the North American box office. The cast, including Steve McQueen, Charles Bronson, and James Coburn, were not yet major stars. Initially, the film was released in a limited market in the U.S., but it found success in Europe. After its European success, the film was re-released in the U.S. to better reception. In the 1980s, the film inspired the classic TV show The A-Team. James Coburn, who starred in the 1960 film, was initially considered for the role of John Hannibal Smith, the leader of the A-Team, a role that ultimately went to George Peppard. The pilot episode of The A-Team directly mirrors the plot of The Magnificent Seven, with the team defending a group of farmers from a biker gang. Throughout its run, the creators described the show as a modernized version of the movie, transitioning from cowboys to soldiers of fortune and reducing the number of main characters from 7 to 4. The film's score, composed by the legendary Elmer Bernstein, is considered one of the finest ever created for a Western. Before the recent Denzel Washington-led remake, there were 3 sequels to the 1960 film: Return of the Seven, 1966, Guns of the Magnificent Seven, 1969, and The Magnificent Seven Ride, 1972. Yul Brynner returned for the first sequel, but George Kennedy and Lee Van Cleef led the group in the subsequent films. Each sequel earned progressively less money than its predecessor. However, The Magnificent Seven, along with Planet of the Apes, is credited with pioneering the concept of a film franchise through multiple sequels. If you haven't seen The Magnificent Seven on television, you might not be watching TV enough. The 1960 version is the second most broadcasted film in U.S. television history, second only to The Wizard of Oz, a remarkable achievement in itself. Actor Anthony Quinn claimed he originally conceived the idea for The Magnificent Seven and approached Yul Brynner to collaborate, with Quinn starring and Brynner directing. They acquired the rights through Brynner's production company, but the rights were later sold to another company, which hired John Sturges to direct and Brynner to star. Quinn was furious and sued, but he lost the case. Steve McQueen, starring in the TV series Wanted Dead or Alive at the time, needed CBS executive Dick Powell's approval to join The Magnificent Seven. When Powell initially refused, McQueen orchestrated a car accident to get out of his TV commitments. Despite suspicions of faking his injuries, he got the approval to join the film. Contrary to their on-screen camaraderie, Yul Brynner and Steve McQueen disliked each other intensely. Their rivalry almost led to physical altercations on set. Brynner, feeling upstaged by McQueen, hired an assistant to count McQueen's lines and built mounds of dirt to appear taller. McQueen would kick these mounds down, escalating their tension. Ironically, Brynner had a significant role in casting McQueen, a decision he later regretted. Brynner even got married on set, using props from the fiesta scene for the celebration. Director John Sturges faced a major challenge with the screenplay, which specified the characters' deaths, but not their order. Sturges initially planned to kill them off in casting order, but adjusted after Robert Vaughn's objection. Ultimately, the death sequence was Harry Luck, Dexter, Lee, Vaughn, Britt, Coburn, and O'Reilly, Bronson. It's interesting to note that James Coburn had only 11 lines, and Robert Vaughn had 16 in the film. Close friends for almost 50 years, this was their only collaboration. A young Gene Wilder auditioned for the role of Vin, a casting choice that seems odd in hindsight. Cinematographer Charles Lang shot the film using a 35mm anamorphic format with Panavision lenses. Filming began on March 1, 1960 in Mexico, where both the village and the U.S. border town were constructed. The portrayal of Mexican peasants and bandits, led by Jewish actor Eli Wallach, faced criticism. Mexican special interest groups ensured the peasants wore clean clothes, the women dressed nicely, and the children had neat haircuts. Sturges had to bring in a new scriptwriter to accommodate these changes, along with additional wardrobe and makeup crews. Upon rewatching, Yul Brynner's iconic strut remains as memorable as ever. The timeless story continues to captivate audiences. If you haven't seen it yet, catch it on TV. You'll love it. We'll end here. Thank you for your attention. Like and subscribe. There are many interesting things ahead. Good luck.